Hello, everybody. Welcome back to One Leeds. Welcome back to Connor here. I hope you're all doing fantastically well. And we're here. And is it the rumour mill? Is it not the rumour mill? I don't really know. There I am. I don't know if I'm going to call it the rumour mill, to be quite honest with you. I'm just going to wait and see with that one because I'm not going to be able to produce these consistently leading up to that sort of period of January, but I'm going to do my very best for you guys. So anyway, I hope you're all doing fantastically well. We're back up in my bedroom. We're not downstairs. It's because I just wanted to, it was a bit of a off the cuff thing, really. This is sort of what I wanted to do in terms of just covering this guy, Puig, who is apparently, Marcelo Bielsa is extremely interested in. It's been covered by numerous Barcelona outlets as well, which is very good to see. It's not just the daft outlets, which we'll see every now and again, which are just there for clickbait. It looks like there are a lot of Barcelona outlets actually reporting that. I saw a couple early on, which was sort of like 150 odd thousand followers. Another one was 300,000 followers. So it does look like that there is sort of, there's sort of an understanding that this could happen. So that's going to be really interesting to see whether or not we're going to be able to get that one over the line. But it seems like Bielsa is interested, according to a lot of these outlets. I think it's Riqui Puig, the pronunciation. Hammer me, guys, if I've absolutely murdered that. But we're just going to look at a few things now, how he would fit into this Bielsa system, where we could play him, and why would we need him? Why do we need that additional body in there? Well, the reason we need an additional body in the midfield is because we're absolutely sort of battered with numbers in there sometimes. If a certain individual goes out of that starting lineup, then we have no real rear guard to back that up of real sustenance, real quality. So that'll be really interesting to see whether or not Leeds can get bodies in there, get bodies in and around there. Obviously, with the consistent injury of Adam Forshaw, Leeds need to be looking at backups and reinforcements. And I'm just going to take you on to what Victor Orta has said about the window as well. But before that, I know some of you guys are commenting on it. Hey, Connor says, Craig, how you doing, mate? Yo says, Lennon, what a cracking name. Do you know what, Lennon? I've known a couple of people called Lennon. I think it's one of the coolest names around. So well done to you. Well done to your parents. Faith player in Leeds. Jurgen, got my cup of tea. Oliver, great content. Connor, thank you, buddy. I've not started yet, but yeah, cheers, mate. Got a cup of tea myself as well. Should really be sporting the mug, the One Leeds mug, but it's in the wash. Miss my rumour mill. Thank you so much. We're back. Riqui Puig, apparently, is how they say it. James, in and around there. Hiya, mate. How you doing? But yeah, let's get into it anyway. What can we expect from this geezer, from this Barcelona man? And yeah, let's just see. What I'm going to try to do is share my screen and show you guys a couple of things with regards to what's he called? What's his first name? Riqui Puig. We'll start calling him that. But no, it's Puig, apparently, is how they pronounce it over there. So what I'm going to do is just share my screen, and we're just going to go through a couple of things just with regards to Puig. So this is sort of a scouting report that I look at quite consistently. It's sort of a really nice outlet, which I've done like quite a lot of research with regards to this, to players and stuff on here. So as you can see here, it sort of looks like he's extremely good at picking the ball up in pockets, which is what Leeds United need. It's, for me, it's one of the blueprints of how Leeds United play. It's the midfielders picking the ball up in the pockets. And this is where Leeds United get better and better in terms of transitions from the play, from defence to midfield to attack. And I really like, from watching a couple of videos as well, how he moves. And the big thing as well, guys, is it's his availability. Apparently, Barca are willing to let him to go out on loan. The reasoning behind this is because he's not had a lot of minutes at Barca, but there are some serious clubs who are interested in this guy. And that doesn't mean that Leeds are not going to get him, bearing in mind Bielsa's pull, bearing in mind the fact that it's a win-win scenario here for both clubs for me, because Barcelona want him to have some playing time. He's got an £88 million release clause or euro release clause. So the longevity of it is probably going to be the fact that Leeds are just going to be improving a Barcelona player. But if we can get this guy in for, just for the remainder of the Premier League season in January, I think it's going to be a massive coup for the Whites. So as you can see here, the 20-year-old Barcelona midfielder, Riqui Puig, branded the next Iniesta, draws many technical comparisons to the Barcelona legend. Silky close control and an eye for a pass have seen him break into the Barcelona squad on occasion, which is, obviously that's very, very good to see. But the tactical analysis, as I've said as well, this is called BarcelonaAnalysis.com, and I've been reading through this for the past sort of 24 hours, and it's just really interesting. He specializes in the progressing of play. His first thought when receiving is to play forwards into players into more advanced positions, which, as you can see here, just in this graphic, it's him receiving the ball on the back foot. And what I've noticed about looking through a lot of his YouTube and going on sort of Barcelona.com and Barca.com and looking at his highlights is as soon as he gets the ball, his first thought is to drive. It's to drive forward. And this is such a blueprint of Bielsa's play, what Bielsa wants from his midfielders. That's why he liked Adam Forshaw a lot, because before Bielsa, Adam Forshaw was a lateral player. He'd sort of get the ball, pass it sideways for me. That's what I thought for Adam Forshaw. He's a good player, but when Bielsa came in, Forshaw's play suddenly changed. He started going forward. He was more direct. He got the ball on the back foot. Yes, he didn't have that direct nature of being able to get the ball like Puig and mazy runs and getting the ball and sort of committing a few men, but he used to get the ball and go forward consistently. Forshaw at the start of Bielsa's tenure, and obviously when he came back from injury, but obviously we've not seen a lot more of that, unfortunately. But Puig looks like that man who can do this. And as you can see, evidenced by his 1.95 deep completions per 90 and 6.27 progressive runs per 90, which, is one of those things that is massively looked at by Marcelo Bielsa and his backroom staff. So, yeah, that's massively positive in terms of his movement. But here, what I like as well, for me, is when he's getting the ball in these tight situations here. He's got a player who's clearly man marking him, but he doesn't mind. He'll get the ball on the back foot, facing his own goal. And as you can see straight away here, what's he doing? Getting the ball, beating his man with one touch. His marker is beaten. And what he does is he draws players in, which is what we all like to see in a Bielsa system. It's drawing players in and beating them. And this is what I like about this kid. Now, we're genuinely going to move down here a little bit, because I know the bit above was a little bit more about his passing and stuff like this. But what I like here is the amount of players who are drawn to him. Look how many players are drawn to him, And as Lee Smith says in the comments there, I can see we've only got one more available in terms of loan. This is why Leeds will be looking at him. For me, this is a signing that Leeds will definitely be looking at. 100%. He's got all the characteristics that Leeds want in a player, a midfield player, and we need another midfielder. But his close control allows him to carry the ball into congested areas, thereby drawing players towards him. And this is where he can release, space and for people like Rodrigo, Rafinha, Helder Costa, Jack Harrison, Patrick Bamford. So all of these eventualities will just make Leeds stronger. And as you can see, look, straight away created space. They were all attracted to Puig, and now he's freed up space for his team in the opposition third. And just here, where I'm just putting my cursor here, in just this red box here, he always occupies this space. He scans the pitch, spots a gap between the two midfield players, and he always wants the ball. Always wants the ball. You can see Messi here. Puig just allows that space, like Iniesta used to do for Barcelona, gets in and around the space and creates it for his teammates. As you can see here, just getting the ball in between those midfielders and having the confidence to do that, having the confidence to receive the ball when there's 3 or 4 players around you is absolutely massive. I can see Robert Dunlop in the comments saying Shackleton will maybe suffer because of this. Yeah, I get it, but sentiment goes out the window for me, Robert, because, when you have players that Leeds can bring in like this, I think this is what you've got to do. And we move on here as well to his passing ability. You can see Luis Suarez complemented by Rui Puig's movement here. This is what I liked here, this stat as well. This is exhibited by his 9.68 progressive passes per 90, which is the 19th highest in the league, which to say, he barely plays for Barcelona's first team is an impressive stat. As well, guys, just coming back and looking at the general stats of him, he's 21 years of age. He's not like 16, 17. I know I've heard a lot of people ask, is he going to be ready? He's definitely going to be ready, 100%, especially off the bench. And as I keep saying, Fabregas has dubbed him the next Iniesta. As you can see here, he's just drawing the man in. And what he does consistently, also what we're saying about the shirt tucked in, old school footballer, Scotty Parker-esque. But yeah, what I like, obviously, this is a really sort of simple graphic here of just him lifting the ball over. But anytime I watch him, because he sort of can play in that CM sort of advanced midfielder role, he draws the defender out, creating space for the striker, which is where someone like Luis Suarez or Patrick Bamford is just going to benefit from. This is Puig. He just looks like, for me, he just looks like Messi in this graphic in terms of, look at the amount of players every single time I go onto a separate graphic, the amount of players that he draws in. He consistently draws players in. And as you can see here, the image above displays a pass that only Puig can complete because of his ability to play the ball with any part of his foot. Another technicality which we can only benefit from. And he always looks forward, as I keep saying. And, you know, there's just beneficiaries all over the pitch for Barcelona. And I think the key thing to note is, why is he not getting in the Barcelona squad, is what I've just seen in one of the comments. Well, the reason behind that is because they clearly think that they've got players in front of him who can do a job, you know, which I can understand. Obviously, is he ready? Who knows? But for me, this is a match made in heaven. You've got Marcelo Bielsa, who's just going to play him in the Barcelona way, you know, that lovely style of football. He's obviously going to be able to... He's obviously played in you know, Bielsa's managed in La Liga before as well, so he knows the demands. He knows what to put on the youngster as well. And I just think he's only going to benefit from someone like Leeds. His agent is essentially I was going to say pimping him out. But that's the wrong term. His agent is just essentially saying to everybody, you know, he's offered him to Betis, he's offered him to Leeds United, he's offered him to a fair few Spanish clubs as well. So it's going to be really interesting to see, but he looks like a real player, and someone for me who I would definitely like within the ranks at Leeds United. It's just an extra body, another midfielder, but someone who has that ability. Once again, look at him here again. I just love that from a midfielder. There's not enough midfielders in the world who want the ball in pockets of space, which they shouldn't want the ball in those pockets of space. You know, tight spaces, confined spaces where they can make it look easy. And players like him, you know, I always loved Cesc Fabregas for that. He'd always get the ball in pockets of space, and this is what I absolutely love with him. And yeah, to conclude, as you can see here, the tactical analysis, Puig has demonstrated a number of qualities that would be required of a Barcelona midfielder. This would suggest that he's ready for a greater number of first team minutes. However, there are aspects to his game that could look to improve his chances of getting into the first team, but this is it. And I think that's the whole bit, right? The chance to prove himself in La Liga. He needs that chance, and as we see here, just on a separate graphic, Leeds United have reportedly held talks with the agent of the midfielder Puig, and Cesc Fabregas, once claimed the Spanish talent had all the potential to become the new Andre Iniesta back when he emerged onto the first scene. 21 is in dire need of game time to live up to his enormous hype. So this is what we've all got to look at as fans. I think this is a massive deal that could get done. And I'm going to go back to as well what Victor Orta has said. This is what he said about January the other day. And I think this is a key thing to note with regards to Leeds' January activity. For me, firstly, it's about availability. So once again, just clock in on this guy. You know, it's about availability. He is available right now, and it's going to be Leeds will be, if we are going to do any business in January, Leeds will be making the plans right now. They will be making the plans right now because, as we saw in the Amazon documentary, you have to prepare for the winter window with some serious preparation, and we all know that they'll be looking at it right now. And as Victor Ott says here, for me, firstly, it's about availability. You go to a player who's playing in a lower division, or you go to a player who is not playing in your division or at another level. This is it. It's a risk, as Victor Orta says, but maybe on the spreadsheet, someone like Puig has actually come out and been one of the top availabilities. The situation with economics is strange. I think people want to sell, but don't sell because they want to buy. They don't want to spend. It makes a strange market again. I'm not a proper fan of the January market. As we know with Bielsa, Victor Orta, Kinnear, even obviously Rad Razani, they're not fans of the market. We all know that. And it's because of Bielsa. You know, Bielsa wants players to be indoctrinated into his system for 6 to 8 weeks. But if he comes from Barcelona, there's going to be a bigger likelihood that he's going to be able to play in the Leeds system, for me, a lot sooner. We need to be really clever. If one option appears who we think clearly improves the squad, obviously we need to make an offer now. I trust the squad we have. I trust a lot of the ways our staff in sort of delivering for Marcelo Bielsa. The winter market is a circumstance and one we need to evaluate carefully. So that is sort of the rumour mill in terms of Puig. Obviously, we can see Leeds reportedly in talks with player, 88 million release clause. So that is one thing that I wanted to just touch on there, guys, in terms of the availability of players and what we're going to be doing in terms of players. What do I think in terms of overall? Well, I think Leeds are going to be going in for someone. That's my personal opinion. I think Bielsa will want another midfielder. I think with the likes of Adam Forshaw, who potentially could be out for a large period of time still, is he going to be getting on grass? Is he going to be getting back to that full stance once again? I don't know. Personally, I don't think we'll see him in a Leeds United shirt again. That's just my personal opinion. So, yeah, it's definitely something Leeds need to improve on. And we saw when Calvin was out, we know Puig can sort of play a central midfield role, not a natural defensive midfielder, but he's going to help in terms of quality. We saw in that Palace game, we saw in the Leicester game when Phillips wasn't available, Leeds really did get battered through that middle. And, it's not just about the defensive midfielder for me. It's about the whole midfield. It's about controlling the midfield. And Leeds didn't do that in those two games. And Bielsa will be well aware of that. And someone like Puig, who can control the midfield, can control and dictate play in there, I think is someone, it's definitely something that Leeds should go for. If I was to pick one position, it would be a midfielder for this window. And it's really, really interesting to see across a lot of Barcelona outlets, Barca, Universal, Barca.com. There's been a lot of reports. Sorry, there's a dog that is just, you get that neighbour's dog who just barks consistently. And I lost my train of thought there. But yeah, it's one of those where I think if we're looking positionally, that is definitely the place where Leeds United need to make some moves for me. That's my personal opinion. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. I'm going to start reading your comments out right now. Where do you think we should improve in the January window? Do you think we should improve at all in the window, or do you think the squad right now is good enough? I'm really interested to hear what you guys say as well. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, guys, do us a favor, do that, and obviously like the video if you would. If you like the rumour mill, then I only know if you like the rumour mill by the likes on the video. If not, I will stop doing it. So do that for me if you would. So Lloyd says here, pointless loaning him. Remember Ben White. Don't want to be improving other clubs' players and watching them join Liverpool or Chelsea. This is a really interesting point from Lloyd here. And the reason I get on board with what Lloyd is saying is because we saw with Ben White, we've seen with other players in the past that when Leeds get them in on loan and then the opposition club refuses to give us any sort of transfer rights in the future for that player, it can get mildly frustrating, massively frustrating. We saw that with Brighton this year with Ben White, who, you do miss him, don't you, old Ben? You do think that he would fit into this system. Yeah. I mean, I was watching the game the other day, and I listened to the Square Ball, and they were saying, throughout the game, and you were thinking about Ben White a little bit, about those marauding runs forward and playing those passages of play. And you do think, you would still love him. You would still love Ben White. But on the contrary, what you're saying there, Lloyd, is that, you wouldn't have a Barcelona player for 6 months who's going to stable our midfield, who's going to be that creative spark, and essentially who potentially could keep us in the division. If we've got players in that central part of midfield who are injured, who are not going to be available, we know maybe, we don't know with Click, but could he get an injury this season? If Click does get an injury in that central midfield, what are the options? And I know we can go somewhere else, but you've got to tune into what Victor Ortiz just said there, what I've just read out, the fact that the availability has to be right. The team normally will probably go, well, the staff, in my personal opinion, will probably go for someone in the lower division or someone who isn't playing. So who's going to fit that Leeds United mould? Who is going to fit that mould? Who will just come in, he'll play that system, he'll be able to be in there, indoctrinated in that passing style of play straight away, like Puig will be at Barcelona. Who's going to be able to do that? For me, it's going to be there's going to be a lot of rarities. So we really need to get that one right. David would be a great signing, but surely we'll get him on an 18-month loan. That's a really good point, David. We could get him on an extended loan, and that's something I'm sure the club will be looking at. But yeah, I mean, you'd want him for a longer period of time. It just depends how Barca are going to see it. Are we going to improve him? They know that they're going to improve him under Marcelo Bielsa. Of course, Bielsa will improve him. Is that going to be Barca going to let him then go for that period of time? Because that's like a signing, really, isn't it? 18 months. It's like a proper signing. So are they going to enable that? He's got an £88 million release clause. I can't read out your name, mate. I'd absolutely batter it anyway. Honestly, I'm not making it up. I watch a lot of Spanish games, even with Spanish commentary. It'll be the Catalan pronunciation, Riqui Puig. Well, from now on, we'll call him Riqui Puig, mate, just for you. It's a cracking name anyway. A lot of people talking about Saka from Arsenal. I think he's playing for the England side. He's a massive part of Arsenal's, ways going forward. I'd be stunned if that was going to be happening. Is his agent putting lipstick on a Puig? Tommy Darko, Puig will be the 10 we need, but we still need an 8. I think from what I've read on Puig, he can play in the 8. He can play in a 6 as well. They have seen him play in the 6 as well in the Barcelona youth team as well, and he can play in the 10. Seems like a little bit of a cuisance in terms of he's quite versatile within those positions in the midfield. But at a 10. Yeah, I mean, I completely understand what you're saying there, Tommy. I'm not 100% sure I would be in favour of going out and getting a 10, especially with the likes of Rafinha, obviously Pablo Hernandez, Rodrigo. I think just an out-and-out solid 6 or an 8 is probably the way Leeds need to go forward. I think, and that's what a transition that's been from the summer months. We're at 10-10. We need a 10. We need a 10. But after we saw the Leeds were, literally getting cuisance in on a medical, we know that the club are looking at an 8, and I think that's where Puig would be a good one. Guel says here we need a central midfielder or 2. Completely agree there, mate. What about Henderson? Yeah, I wouldn't mind someone like Jordan Henderson. I'm not 100% sure on that would happen. Lee Smith says such a shame about Forshaw. We look more solid with him in the midfield. Yeah, I'd agree. It is a real shame for Adam, and I feel like he's never going to hit the dizzy heights at Leeds, unfortunately. I just don't think that he's going to be able to get back in with the flow of things, get back into that midfield. I don't think now he's going to be good enough to get into that midfield. I think you look at our midfield, full strength for me. You've got from back to front, Calvin, if we're playing 4-1-4-1, Calvin in the DM, right side, Rafinha, middle 2, Click and Rodrigo, wide left is someone like Harrison. Then, obviously the options are coming off the bench. Forshaw would be a really viable option off the bench. Of course he would. But for me, yeah, he just doesn't get into that starting lineup for me, even when he's fit. Sub for Click says Jurgen Klopp. I would agree with that. Connor, please do a FIFA 21 Leeds career. Yeah, mate. When I've got a bit more time, I will do, I promise. Gareth Green, sounds great. Midfield, we need to build on maybe one more attacker and defender. Yeah, this is it. Get your comments in the section below with regards to who you would bring in. If you, I tell you what, here's a really good question. If you had all the budget that realistically Leeds have got, and you could only bring one player in, who would it be? Maybe not who would it be, but what position would it be? I think someone like Puig would be ideal. It's ideal for me. It's an ideal one, and it works for both parties. Barcelona want him to get experience. Leeds need another player, another body in that midfield for me. Joshua, I watched him in the second half of Barca last night, and in the build-up for the Griezmann goal, looked incredibly one-footed. Make of that what you will. We need a left back like Tony Dorigo, Lloyd Gittins says. Let's have a look. Cy Meredith, I don't see the point if he's just going to sit on the bench, especially if we have no option to buy, which we obviously won't. Yeah, really credible point there, Cy. But if he's just going to take our midfield to that next level, would you not rather have someone like that on the bench, mate? That's probably my equilibrium to your comment there. I think I would rather have a quality player coming off the bench in the central midfield. You look at us out wide now. Unbelievable. Rafinha, Rodrigo can play out wide. He's played out wide before for Valencia. Poveda, Helder Costa, Jack Harrison. Out wide, we are mustard. In the midfield, if we lost someone like Click in that 8 role, what do we do? What do we do? We really are struggling there. Shackleton, but, there's certain games for Shackleton. I don't think Shackleton could fit in that 8 role if we were playing against a defensive counter-attacking team. Per se, Arsenal, Crystal Palace, Leicester, Wolves. I think we saw that, especially against Leicester. I thought he was he looked a level below in that game. And I don't know whether or not if Click was out, we would need a quality body in there for me. Ben Hudson, would you prefer a look at a defensive midfielder? Cock can play there, and Llorente should be able to go centre-back. Cock CDM when Phillips isn't fit, but with Llorente injured, that hasn't been the case. Yeah, really good point. And for me, I don't know about you guys, but I'm looking at Robin at the minute, and I see him as a central defensive midfielder over a centre back. I do. I don't know what it is. I think it's his style of play. We saw it at the weekend, especially. I don't know if he's an out-and-out centre back. I watched him against Ukraine for Germany, and his patterns of play, how he reads the game. I think he is a central defensive midfielder for me. And maybe that's how Bielsa's thinking. And that is where the rotation could happen if Calvin drops out, if we have to move things around in the midfield. But for me, Cott is a central defensive midfielder. I think it suits him a lot more as opposed to a centre back. It's really, really interesting topic of debate, though. But we do have those options. Rafinha possibly striker next year, says Boxing Ultimate Fighter TV. Campana, Spain international, can play CDM, CM, Cam. And I presume this is going to come up on the rumour mill so much, Campana. Obviously, we know what's going on in Spanish football in terms of wages. Each and every club, because of the coronavirus pandemic, has had to slash their wages, absolutely slash the budget. So that's going to be really interesting. In the summer, there was a lot of credible sources saying Leeds are interested in Campana. I'm interested in going and getting a frothy coffee from the shop, but I can't be bothered. It's not going to happen. But I can be interested in many things. I can be interested in having a stein of beer right now. Doesn't mean I'm going to do it. So, all this interested stuff, it's not really got any sort of solidity to it. But that rumbled on throughout the entire summer. It rumbled on through the entire summer, and a lot of credible sources, including sources out in Spain. I think Marca reported it as well, that Campana was on Leeds' radar. So I genuinely think that if the price is right, if he's available, which are two massive things, as Victor Orta has just said, as I read it out at the start, if they're available for the right price, we will go there. If we brought someone else in that position, is that the end of the road for Tyler Roberts? Jay with the Patreon. Make sure you check out the Patreon as well, guys. We've got some additional content coming out there if you want to see some extra stuff from One Leeds. Jay, a loyal member to me on the Patreon. T-Rob, I think he should be out on loan. My personal opinion, I think he should be out on loan, Tyler Roberts. A lot of you guys might disagree. I think it would only impact him if he had 45 games in the Championship and was mustered. We're talking 8 assists. We're talking numerous goals. Don't know why I picked out 8, but if he just got 8 assists, 15 goals wherever he's playing, came back to Leeds. He's only 21. Comes back to Leeds when he's a 22-year-old. This is for the full season, by the way. But, for maybe 6 months would also do. If he absolutely blew the Championship away, got a bit of games under his belt, stayed injury-free, who knows? I think that's the right move for Tyler Roberts. I think he's got to be out on loan. It's got to be at a club where they play our style of football. And you might all go, what, Connor, what? Carlos Corberan, Huddersfield, Tyler Roberts. You might all laugh. You might all think, but look at the logistics of it. Play our football. I was watching Huddersfield last night. They tried to play the Leeds United way. Barnsley would be a good exposure for him to lower league football where they work hard. They play similar styles of football. I do not want to see Tyler Roberts go on loan to Derby. I do not want to see Tyler Roberts go on loan to Nottingham Forest. There might be bigger clubs in your head, but it makes no sense. They don't play the Bielsa way. What's the point? That's my personal opinion anyway. A lot of people are laughed to the Yorkshire clubs and they're maybe not as big as Derby or Forest, but it makes sense. It makes logistical sense to loan him out somewhere, and he could be the star player, cam or striker. Or, I love Tyler Roberts on the left. He played there against Aston Villa when it all kicked off in the Championship in that 1-1 game. He was superb on the left. Absolutely superb. Cuts inside, trickery, little bit of agility as well, balance, coordination, very good at getting his shot off. I thought on the left he was brilliant. I think that's Tyler Roberts' best position on the left for me. I know a lot of people say striker, but I'm not 100% sure he's got all the attributes for a striker. On the left, he was superb for me. Ben Hudson says Llorente fit in a couple of weeks still, I think. And I want to see him at the back. I do. I want to see Llorente at the back. I want to see him at the back, and I don't know who his partner's going to be. I don't. Maybe Robin. You'll hate me now because I've said it, but yeah, I want to see Llorente in there. I want to see him in there. There's a reason we bought him. He'd have been ideal for this weekend because his highest attribute is his winning aerial battles, and we've got Dominic Calvert-Lewin coming up this weekend, which is going to be interesting. Let's see. What's Martin saying here? For me, Rafinha was poor against Arsenal. Guys, get your comments in as well. As you can see, I'm just reading them out here. For me, Rafinha was poor against Arsenal. Didn't take on one player, never mind beat anyone. For me, Costa is 100% a bigger threat on the wing all day long. Wow. Well, this is the beauty of football, isn't it, guys? Everyone has different opinions, and that's why I like this channel. One Leeds, it's a collaborative thing. And, that's such an interesting comment because I saw it completely differently, Martin. I really did. I saw it completely differently. I thought he was direct. I liked the way he was moving into the middle. I thought the Willie and Nutmeg is going to be on the highlight reel at the end of the season. My love for Costa. All you lot, everyone was slagging him off last year, and I was the only one who was saying, well, I'd say the only one, I'm sure there were numerous people saying it, but I absolutely love Helder Costa. Absolutely love him. And he's got so much ability. But for me, he hasn't been the same since Wolves 16-17. I think he's always comfortable going back. I think he'd rather go back than go forward. I'd like to see what he did. The 23s when he scored that unbelievable goal. We don't see enough of that in the first team. We don't see enough of it in the first team. I think he's very comfortable going back and passing it laterally. I think Rafinha's direct, and you can tell he's got that ability. He's very good on free kicks. You can tell that already. And for me, for a debut, I thought it was pretty good, mate. I think he was probably the standout 3 or 4 players for me in that team. But that's football, isn't it? We all have different opinions. Ben Hudson says, totally agree. Huddersfield and Barnsley Roberts could be great there if he stayed fit and got like 40 games in the season at striker. Not sure about him in the midfield. I just think there's a lot of calls about him going to Derby and Forest, and that'd just kill him. It'd absolutely kill him. We need to send him somewhere where they play similar styles of football and intensity. Ted Garron says, considering Koch was thrown into the Premier League starting, he has been impressive. Given penalties and some bad passes early is to be expected. He's aggressive and has great potential. Yeah, I guess that's been shrouded, isn't it, at the minute, Ted? Thanks for your comment, mate. But I think it's been shrouded at the minute by just a couple of mistakes. We saw a couple against Leicester. Obviously, we saw a couple against Liverpool. For me, he was at fault for numerous things in the Fulham game as well. Obviously, we saw, I just think sometimes there is a mistake there. But I think naturally the reason why people are talking about that is because we've had Ben White. Did Ben White make a mistake last year? He didn't make a mistake. I can't remember a mistake he made. So it's always harsh on Robin Koch because we are comparing him to arguably the best centre-back we've seen at Leeds outside the top flight. So that's why it's going to be difficult. That's why we always make these Ben White, Robin Koch comparisons, but we never saw Ben in the Premier League. Would he have made mistakes? We've seen against Manchester United, he's been put on his bum a couple of times in that game, made a couple of mistakes, But that it's a really interesting topic of debate, but there's no real point in doing it, is there? Let's have a look what Daniel Leach says. I thought Rafinha's touch was impeccable, dealt so well with the wet conditions, unlike a lot of the team. And we will see more rainy pitches going into winter. Yeah, everyone seems to trip up, don't they, for the Leeds team? But guys, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to wrap it up now. We've been going for 32 minutes. It's been really interesting to get your opinions. Go back if you've just joined and watch the start of the video. If you've missed a lot of the Puig, sort of dialect, we're talking about his positional play, how much we're going to be able to get him for. Probably not going to be able to get him for anything, to be honest. It'll be a loan signing. But the likelihood of Leeds doing it as well, the sources that are saying that Leeds are going to be going in there. We look at the scouting report as well on Puig. So if you're interested in this, Marcelo Bielsa's potential thoughts on him, how he's going to transition into this Leeds team, why we need him, and all that good stuff, make sure you go back and watch it from the start. Leave your comments in the section below. I hope you've enjoyed it. A little bit of the comeback of the rumour mill. I know you guys love this. I wanted to bring it back. Don't worry, we will have Everton content out for you as well. Unfortunately, I'm struggling at the minute to do watch-alongs because I work at weekends, so it's a real difficulty for me, but you'll have your preview, you'll have your opposition preview and your review, and we'll try get a tactical analysis in there if we can as well, guys. So I hope you're enjoying it. Make sure you subscribe as well to the Patreon. As I said, please slap a like on the video if you will. Have a cracking day, and I'll see you in a bit.